and welcome to the show addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. And I'm going to have a little different type of a segment today. It's going to go, oh, I like my name right there. That looks nice. Thank you. And red and blue too. It goes with the red, white, and blue flag there in the background. If only we could tweak it so that my name is white and red. No, I'm just kidding. That's nice. So anyway, we've got a book that we're going to be going over. And if we could show the picture of that on the side screen. Awesome. So I need to move a little bit over here. Sorry, y'all. So right in front of the mic. Hello, hello. I always like to mix it up on Fridays and be a little silly. Sorry about that. So we're going over a book called Education About Our Country, Tell Your Children by Joe C. Ferrell, Dr. Joe C. Ferrell. And it starts out with what is truth? How is truth gradually transformed into our laws? How are we guided? Two basic forms of government. How does mankind react to pride and power? Other things like how does buying and selling play? How does government acquire money? How does ownership of private property affect us? Where are the other capitalists? And teaching our young about capitalism. So what I gathered from this book, it discusses that there are too many Americans that do not understand the founders' form of government, which is capitalism, that was imposed or was put in place in America for very noble reasons. And that's all in the preface. It expresses that by force, when people are forced to do things and be productive, it actually decreases productivity, thereby, rendering capitalism as the most efficient economy because it enhances productivity because you're not forced to produce. It says socialism is a slow poison. It also says Ayn Rand pointed out that war is a direct result of long simmering socialism. It says socialism, I noted socialism is deadly because he said in this part of the preface, in our ignorance, we have come to a crossroads, one direction to stay the course of capitalism or to take the turn to deadly socialism. I do consider socialism deadly. I've lived in a socialist country and it makes things move rather slowly. I've explained that in greater detail in the first week of my episodes. You can find those on the YouTube archives. So what we've got right now is a divided nation. It's Democrats versus Republicans, aka socialists versus capitalists at the root of it all. From my understanding, now we'll speak to Joe and get his take on everything. After the break, we'll speak to him over the phone. Now, education about our country neglects our Constitution. Here's a quote that I like from this chapter. Our rights to life, freedom, and the right to own property comes from our Creator as stated in the Declaration of Independence, which means that it cannot be taken away because it is granted by our Creator. And being that our Creator ceases to exist on earth physically, no one can take those rights away. No one can take that pursuit to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness away. So if our country is fundamentally changed, our rights will come from our government, which means that our government will have the power to take away the rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now, Hitler is an example of a government that gave the Germans their rights to life, liberty, and happiness. Stalin also promised that, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So did Mao Zedong, and so did Chavez of Venezuela. So what makes our country special? What makes our country special is that we're a nation under God and only a Creator can take away one's rights, which translates as no one living on this earth can take away our rights, so long as we are in this country under this Constitution. And he has another, in the chapter, What is the Truth? He explains the truth is God, the Creator that gave us our rights and ensures that we retain those rights so long as we don't let this group overthrow the forgotten man, the Trump supporter. And we also describe wisdom. He also describes wisdom. Dr. Ferrell describes wisdom as the knowledge of God and the knowledge of truth. He acknowledges that human knowledge is ever changing, which means we cannot rely on it for our well-being. Humankind wants to be truth and asserts himself or herself as God. It is our innate being. How is truth gradually transformed in our laws? Star decisis, I'm not saying that right, stare or stare or star decisis is a legal term. That means following the last case examined and reviewed and determined by a judge in a prior like action sometime in the past in a similar court. That is deadly. Why? I'll discuss that with Joe when he calls in. And I lost my pencil, so I'll have to just remember page number here. Anyway, how are we guided? People learn by 1, reward, 2, punishment, or 3, detente, which is trying to cajole someone into doing something. Now, rewarding someone to do something is what we do with capitalism. That's capitalism, and it's the most efficient way to train a dog, to teach a child, and it's the most efficient way to make citizens productive members of society for the best. Not in a negative way, in the very most positive way, to make them motivated, to make them happy to wake up to another day where they can accomplish something and make it their own and make something for themselves because of that and have something to show for it, buy themselves a house, start themselves a family, etc. Now that's reward. Now force is socialism. When you force a child to do something, the child starts to hate doing that and they start to hate you. Now that would be the people under socialism. They would hate their jobs and they would hate their government. And that's what I see in socialism. Living in a socialist country, I had to miss 2 days of class because class was canceled because the students went out and protested the government for 2 whole days. And then there's detente, cajoling someone. Detente rarely leads to timely completion of the objective, and it may never be acceptable, Dr. Ferrell says, for accomplishing the task or any other task. We see this in government. Detente equals inefficiency in government, basically, because you're just, you're not incentivizing people, you're not, forcing them, so you really have a toss-up, a coin toss-up as to whether they're going to do what they need to do. It's just not efficient enough. And there's 2 basic forms of government, capitalism versus collectivism. Capitalism is reward, not force. Collectivism is more so forceful, more so aligns with communist socialist agenda. Under communist Russia, Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin were murdered over 50 million men, women, and children who did not want to be communist. Force was used to maintain society. Force is bad. Force makes you hate the government. It makes the government then in turn turn on you and blame you for being the ones who first turned on them. We need to stay far away from that. We need to stick with capitalism. This book is genius and you should purchase it. I don't know if it's available on the internet right now. It should be. I'm going to talk to Joe about that. It's called Education About Our Country. Tell Your Children, again, by Joseph C. Ferrell. So how does this all fit together? Capitalism acknowledges the prideful nature of man. So it credits man for what he puts pride into, what he puts hard work into. And you receive what you earn, so you feel prideful and you feel proud and you have something to show for your hard work. How will our government be attacked is a whole nother chapter. How do they plan to attack our prosperous government of capitalism in favor for open borders, for George Soros's agenda of open borders and this ludicrous idea that we should all be under one system of government? How do they plan on overtaking us to accomplish that? As we are the U.S. hegemony. Thank you, George, for telling me how to pronounce that word, because I always forget, and if I say it wrong again, I'm sorry. I've been pronouncing that word wrong since my first political science class. I like hegemony. I like the way it sounds better, but hegemony. We are the hegemony and the hegemon, and we must, protect ourselves because there are a lot of people after us, and because we seek the greater good for everyone. So the plan is to replace our capitalist market, free market, with a government-controlled market. We see that's already happening. Obama went and tried to do it with our healthcare. Perfect example. And he also took more measures that, maybe we can discuss with Joe. How does that differ from private employment versus, how does that differ from private employment? He talks about private employment and how private employment is employment based on progress versus government employment, how it's, you know, it's basically giving jobs to people arbitrarily. Anyway, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be on the line with Joe. I'm glad I could explain some of the basic points of the book to you. That's the notes that I've taken only halfway through. So we'll catch you right after the break. Thank you.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia, Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
El Rey in Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
It's a new year. New you at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. Ring in the new year with huge deals on a brand new Ford. Right now, get exceptional offers like 0% financing plus a $1,500 factory rebate on a new 2017 Ford F-150 XLT. Or get 0% financing plus a $1,000 factory rebate on a new 2017 Ford Explorer. Make your resolution a reality during the New Year, New You sales event at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper, home of the Schottenkirk Customer Guarantee. Visit us online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hello, welcome back to the Katie Sissine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the nation. As always, I'm your host, Katie Sissine. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at katiefyntv.com. Today is a very special, exciting Friday. I get to interview Dr. Joseph C. Ferrell from Metro Atlanta, former lawyer and member of the Air Force, and he still resides in Georgia today. And I like that, the Katie Sissine with red, white, and blue. That's beautiful. Yes, we can get that back on every episode. So this book it's excellent. It's called Education About Our Country, Tell Your Children by Dr. Joseph C. Ferrell. Ferrell is from Sarasota, Florida, attended the University of Florida, studied engineering, moved on to the Air Force, navigating around the world for 5 years. He got married in 1961 to his wife, Sandy, his lovely wife, Sandy, that I've had the pleasure of meeting. And he established and ran a trust company, was senior officer. He worked at a CPA firm. He took a position as treasury agent for IRS and as an estate and gift tax attorney. So a very experienced lawyer. Joe was a lawyer before the workforce was oversaturated with lawyers for jobs. So he was a very prominent, individual in law and in politics, of course, as a result. And of course, with wisdom that he's acquired from years of observing how it's all kind of played out, how we've seen socialism try to infiltrate the capitalism within our nation. So I've got Joe on the line here. Hi, Joe. How are you doing today?
Wonderfully well. Thank you for inviting me on your show, Katie.
Thank you for being here. Now, I don't have your photo up because we were just briefing a little bit, but I'll make sure I advertise your book and everything. And I hope we can get it on Amazon soon for sale.
Yes.
But right now, you can order your additional copies from Dr. Joseph C. Ferrell, and there's an address on the back of the book. And if you'd like, I can share that with viewers. And share an image of that after. Okay, great. So I'll post that onto the YouTube account. So I really enjoy this book. It really reminds me of the premise of my show, which is discussing the indoctrination of the nation and how, this doesn't. It doesn't necessarily directly discuss indoctrination, but it does in a way in the first chapter, Education About Our Country, in the first part, where it says that education is neglecting teaching under the Constitution or under, the premises of the Constitution, and the premises that this is a nation founded under God. Which means, as your book states, that we're given our rights. What makes us so unique and special and great is that we're given our rights by a creator and not a government, which means that they cannot be taken away. The rights to pursue life, liberty, and the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So you make this distinction between rights given by a creator and rights given by a government. You basically make the equivalence that truth is God and wisdom is the knowledge of God and truth, which I very much admire and very much believe in. And you note that human knowledge is ever changing. And people in capitalism learn by reward and how efficient that is. Now, I want to ask you, what prompted you to write How Are We Guided and go into the reward, punishment, and detente kind of theories?
Well, the reason I did that is because as I went through my education and through my life, I noticed that there were literally two ways that government existed. One is that the government dominates everybody's life, their citizens, and basically that would be a king, a dictator, or a one-party political system. That means that government would own everything, run everything. And of course, that, as I read through that, looked at that, then I looked at the founders of our country and I said, what did they do? And of course, they were under King George III. Right. And men got together and they sat down and they said, look, you know, this is going to happen again. We left England and we came over here to this land, and King George owns us all, everything, owns our houses, our cattle, our persons, our finances, and he's calling them back. He wants them all back because it's his. So we're going to revolt and we're going to set up another system. That system is going to be one that will reward those who create things. They get to keep their benefit. If they create an engine that'll run a vehicle, then they can put that on the marketplace and they keep the money. It doesn't go to King George or to the government. That prompted this review of what we're not getting in our schools.
Wow, yes. I totally see where you're coming from on that. Another question I had is how is the truth gradually transformed in our laws from that section? It says, how do we say, stare decisis or stare decisis?
Yes, stare decisis,
Now, how do you explain why this legal term is deadly? Now, I'm going to read it out again for the viewers. Stare decisis is a legal term that means following the last case examined and reviewed and determined by a judge in a prior like action sometime in the past in a similar court. That is deadly. Why? In your words, Joe.
Basically, what happens if a judge says that the law says that you may travel 30 miles an hour in a neighborhood, and one judge reviews a case and it doesn't look like 30 miles an hour is really sufficient because it's a long straight road. The next judge would say, well, wait, look, this was a special situation and they should be allowed to do 40 miles an hour because they need to get to work and it's still safe. A year or two later, another judge has the same problem come up before him or her and says, well, 40 was all right, but it looks like 50 now because the cars are bigger and faster and even safer.
Right.
My question then comes back to all the judges, what's the law? And the law says you will do 30 miles an hour down the road. That means they have distorted the law from the bench. They went from 30 miles an hour that the law has totally in black and white laid out for everybody to follow. But then in their judiciary and in their own situation have built upon it until pretty soon we can just drop the speed limit laws altogether because it's meaningless before any of the courts. That's deadly because our Constitution says the Constitution is to limit the government. It is not to encroach on our citizens, period. And then the judges begin to find ways to expand that beyond the black letter law. And when they do that, it destroys the country.
Right, of course, because it dissembles our so eloquently and carefully put together Constitution, and which we, as constitutionalists and supporters of Trump, could rightfully overturn constitutionally through the processes provided by our checks and balances system of government. But because it is a checks and balances system of government in the case of Trump, it's going to be a tough trip to try to get more so back to our American roots and respecting our Constitution. What I see is so problematic and relating to these, how do I say it, the stare decisis?
Yes, stare decisis, that's correct.
Okay, relating to the stare decisis, I'm reminded of the people that are now saying that our Constitution is outdated. And it seems to be those same people that have fostered young minds to believe that our Constitution is outdated are the same people that advocate the stare decisis of constitutional rules that we already have in place. And
correct.
And they're influencing these people to think that we need to change our Constitution and such because it was created by white landowners who only saw themselves as free men, and they were just white landowners, and it wasn't really equal, and all this stuff that's that's quote unquote dated, but it's actually stuff that we've evolved out of, that we understand now that when it says all men are equal, we are including women, men, black men, and men of all races, but still people want to argue that our Constitution is racist, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's terrible. And by doing, sorry.
Well, the big thing is that we had slaves in the land before this became the 13 states. We had slaves here from approximately 1585 when the Spanish set up the first town called St. Augustine, and then Jamestown in 1607, and we had white slaves at that point. And of course, slaves, we didn't have a country until 1791. And that means that from 1607 forward, slavery was in the land for about 150 years. So when you see that these men got together and they set up 13 little states against a powerful king of Britain, it's amazing. It's almost stunning. And now you begin to see that, wait a minute, all men were created equal. Hey, that was their clarion call. And we knew even then, when they said all men are created equal, meaning all mankind, there were slaves for 150 years in the land. Was everybody asleep? Did you get that in high school? I didn't.
Right. Well, the way it was explained to me was at the time, it was directed for white landowners, and now we assume that it's directed for all that have been given equal rights, over time. So everyone, now it applies to everyone. But are you saying when they wrote the Constitution, they actually meant for all mankind?
It meant for all on this land before it became the United States. They declared independence from Britain, and they said all men are created equal. That was it. And life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was given by God, not by the king.
Oh, wow.
They knew then that they had slaves. There were blacks in this land who had black slaves. They weren't white landowners.
Wow.
They were black landowners.
So they still teach that wrongly in all schools, even colleges. The colleges try to...
I didn't even know there were white slaves here, and they were all called Irish because the British hated the Irish, and they were now, you'd find in school and university, they say, oh, no, they weren't slaves, they were indentured servants.
Right.
The question, what is an indentured servant? Answer, a slave.
Right.
And what were they? They were white.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but one night when we can stay a little bit later in the office and catch you around, maybe if you'd ever like to take a drive up here to LJ, I'd love to have you on the show in person, and we can really dissect this book here, and have a little bit more time to do that with a full show.
Excellent.
Of 20 minutes. Because I really admire all of this. I think this would be a great book that you could sell all over college campuses right now. So if there's any, if you're interested in posting it on the internet, I do my best to promote it, throughout Kennesaw State University. I think it's great. So unfortunately, we're out of time. I agree with everything I've read in this book so much. advocating, private employment versus government employment, advocating reward over punishment and detente. I was totally blown away by the depression that started actually in the 20s and not the 30s. I had no idea. And I'm just very excited to, get you on the show in the next few weeks here so we can discuss everything in person about education, about our country.
Thank you. I'd love to do it.
Great. All right, Joe. We'll talk to you soon. Please tune in.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Hope you have a great one. All right. Well, that's all we've got for today. I was lucky to have an interview with Dr. Joe Ferrell from Metro Atlanta, who was a lawyer before the workforce was oversaturated with lawyers. He was a very prominent lawyer, and also in the Air Force. And I hope to have him on the show soon so we can dissect this book. It is very, very insightful, and hopefully will be on the internet as soon as possible for sale and distribution to the masses. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Katie Sissine Show. As always, you can follow me at katiefyntv.com. Please do if you have Twitter, because it is not so easy to navigate Twitter for me. I'm having a hard time finding my own Facebook friends on Twitter. So if you're interested in Twitter, please add me at katiefyntv.com and email me with questions, concerns, suggestions at katie@fetchyournews.com. I hope you have a great weekend, and over and out.